to K-Top. Can we have the chamber unmuted, please? Good afternoon and welcome to the Community and Economic Development Committee meeting of Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. The time is now 1:44 p.m. and this meeting may come to order. Before taking roll, I will provide instructions on how to submit speaker cards for items on this agenda. If you're here with us in chamber and would like to submit a speaker card, please fill one out and turn one to myself or a clerk representative before the item is read into record or no later than 10 minutes after the start of this meeting. This meeting came to order at 1:44 p.m. and speaker cards will no longer be accepted after 1:54 p.m. We'll now proceed with taking roll. Council members 5.
Present.
Council member Houston.
We gotta have a special.
Oh, sorry. Council member Unger.
Here.
Oh, I missed. Council member Ramachandran.
Present.
And Chair Brown.
Present.
Thank you. We have 4 members present. Do we adjourn into? We need a motion to adjourn into a special meeting due to the presence of Councilmember Houston.
So move.
Thank you. That's a motion made by Chair Brown, seconded by Councilmember Fife, to adjourn the CED meeting and reconvene into a special meeting due to the presence of Councilmember Houston at 1:45 p.m. On roll, Councilmembers Fife.
Aye.
Ramachandran.
Aye.
Unger.
Aye.
And Chair Brown.
Aye.
Thank you. This meeting is now reconvened into a special meeting. Moving on to announcements. Chair, do you have any announcements at this time?
Yes, thank you so much. My first announcement is that in an effort to keep our committee meetings on time, we will move to have public comment be just 1 minute. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Reading in item 1, approval of the draft minutes from the committee meeting held on March 10th, 2026. There are no speakers on this item.
Move approval.
So moved.
Thank you. That's a motion made by Councilmember Fife, seconded by Councilmember Unger, to accept the draft minutes from the committee meeting held on March 10th, 2026. On roll, Councilmember Fife.
Aye.
Ramachandran.
Aye.
Unger.
Aye.
And Chair Brown.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 1 passes with 4 ayes to accept the draft minutes from March 10th, 2026. Reading in item 2, determination of schedule of outstanding committee items, and there are no speakers on this item.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Do we have any changes from the administration?
None.
Colleagues, we just need a motion on the pending list.
I'll move the pending list.
Second.
Thank you. That was a motion made by Councilmember Unger, seconded by Councilmember Ramachandran, to accept the determination of scheduled outstanding committee items as is. On roll, Councilmembers Fife,
Aye.
Ramachandran,
Aye.
Unger,
Aye.
and Chair Brown.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 2 passes with 4 ayes to accept the pending list as is. Reading in item number 3. Adopt an ordinance authorizing the city administrator to negotiate and execute a lease agreement with the nonprofit Oakland Parks and Recreation Foundation for the Tyrone Carney Park at 10501 Acalanes Drive, Oakland, for a license fee of $0 for a term of 2 years, with 5 one-year options to extend for maintenance and workforce training. 2, making findings that the below market license fee is in the city's best interest. And 3, making California Environmental Quality Act findings. And we have 2 speakers that signed up to speak.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We will hear from staff on this item.
Good afternoon, Chair Brown, members of the committee. My name is Shayna Hirschfield Gold. I'm in the City Administrator's Office in the Sustainability and Resilience Division. And one of the honors that I have in that role is overseeing the final stages of implementation of the Better Neighborhood, Same Neighbors program, which is funded through Transformative Climate Communities grant from the state of California. Total grant amount is $28.2 million. We received that grant in 2020. And one of the projects of the Better Neighborhood, Same Neighbors project is the revitalization of Tyrone Carney Park, which, as probably most of you know, has been shuttered for over 2 decades. The community coalition that came together and developed a very grassroots plan for Deep East Oakland that led to the Better Neighborhood, Same Neighbors project, led by the East Oakland Neighborhoods Initiative, EONI, highlighted the revitalization of Tyrone Carney Park, and not just revitalization of the park, but the creation of a community-led stewardship program. They highlighted that as a major community priority. And the Oakland Parks and Recreation Foundation is one of the subrecipients of the Transformative Climate Communities grant through Better Neighborhood, Same Neighbors. Oakland Parks and Recreation Foundation has been working with EONI as well as with the Sobrante Park Resident Action Coalition, or SPRAC, to develop a robust community stewardship program that also includes workforce training at Tyrone Carney Park. And so we have here Mandolin Kadera-Redman, who is the executive director of the Oakland Parks and Recreation Foundation, and she's going to speak a little bit to the work that they are planning for the park.
Good afternoon. Hello, Mandolin Kadera-Redman, Executive Director with the Oakland Parks and Rec Foundation, members of the council and the public. We are very excited to implement this stewardship program at Tyrone Carney Park, specifically because of the long shutting of that park. This has come from a lot of collaborative work with the community, as well as several different departments and entities surrounding the area. Internally at the city, we're working with the real estate city administrators, of course, the Oakland Parks, Recreation, Youth Development Department, Public Works, all together to implement this stewardship program. Often we are partnering with the city to bring in dollars for restoration projects around playground equipment, park spaces, green spaces. We plant trees. This agreement that's before you, or a lease agreement, allows us to actually then implement programming once we're complete with the project. And that's this very profound next step that allows us to activate that space beyond the building. So that is what is before you. We are in partnership every week with our tree services department, as well as our community members. Shayna had mentioned SPRAC and EONI, so that we can get our work plan really in order and engage community right where they are, and then continue to activate the space beyond the opening of the park. That's what I wanted to do. Do I answer questions? Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And did you all have more to present?
Good afternoon, Council, committee members. I'm Quincy Williams, and I'm the Capital Improvements Project Coordinator for OPRYD. And I'm here today to highlight our relationship with OPRF and park stakeholders in general. I've collaborated with OPRF on a variety of items as it relates to OPRYD. I enjoy the working relationship I have with them, and this project will enhance our partnership. How, you might ask? Well, the maintenance of our parks and rec facilities is performed by Public Works or OPW. This is an enormous undertaking. OPRF, with the help of other community groups, will perform maintenance tasks as well as opening and closing of Tyrone Carney Park. This will allow for OPW to focus its limited resources on other sites. Also, OPRF will provide consistent stewardship of the space by ensuring that any vandalism will be addressed promptly. With the renovated park reopening soon, OPRYD and the city as a whole will need stakeholders such as OPRF and others to act as entities who will safeguard the space, which will encourage community activation. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the report. Colleagues, any questions or comments? Councilmember Houston, I know that this is in District 7. Wanted to go ahead and give you the opportunity to share remarks or ask any questions.
Thank you, through the chair. I just wanted to find out who in that department is the executive director, who's the board of directors, and what neighborhood outreach did they reach out to? And I want to know actually who, is Madeline? Can you, and I'm gonna ask whoever's out here, do they know the history of why that park was shut down?
That is a complicated history. I don't know if that's something we want to answer. Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, I'll answer it because I was there and I'm the one that had it shut down with Larry Reed because of the homicides on 11/5 day. But I want to know if you know.
I do know.
Okay. So my thing is this, is what part of the neighborhood did we speak to? Because there's two worlds there, right? And the first time it was opened up in the last 23 years was when I just opened it up on 11/5 this year. No homicides, no shootings, no stabbings, nothing. Is showing that we can act right too, right? So, because I'm from there, I'm from Stone City, 11/5, Sobrante Park, all those areas. They probably never elect another person like me on this seat because I'm from there, right? So, I just want to know who reached out to me to talk to me about this.
I have personally talked with your aide, Ledette, I think is pronouncing that correctly. We've been talking with the previous council member before that. It's, as we know, it's been a long time of a lot of engagement. The SPRAC really was instrumental in providing engagement to bring the state dollars to restore the playground. They have very detailed engagement around what the park wants to do, what it has been doing in the midst of it being gated. There's activation all around the space at the moment. There's connectivity with the Sobrante Park and the field there. Over at Brookfield, there's been all kinds of connections. A lot of that we've been building through the Transformative Climate Communities grant and the Better Neighborhood, Same Neighbors initiative. So it's been going in many different iterations. This is almost a last step that allows us to activate. So it's been many years.
Yeah, I got it. I understand through the chair. It's the last step, but I'm the council member now, and I understand what's happening in that community. I'm from that community, right? And I want to know, because it's going to be a very touchy situation there if it's not handled the right way.
Agreed.
We don't want it to be closed down another 23 years, right? So SPRAC never reached out to me. I'm just trying to figure out why nobody reached out to talk to me about this part.
I apologize. If there's a way that I can reach directly to you, we can do some walkthroughs and you could see some of the activities that we have done. I'm happy to do that with you.
Right, so I don't want to move this until I have these meetings and speak to the individuals that's going to manage it, speak to you, and find out who in the community, not just one side. There's 3 parts to that community that need to be spoke to so we can be successful. We want this to be successful. We want it to be just like the 11-5 day I opened it up. I opened it up without permission too. I did that. And no shootings, no killings, no murders, happiness. It was straight happiness. Like my council member Ramachandra said, happiness day. It was a happy day. So I don't want to move it until I have these meetings.
Yes, I'm going to pass it to staff. Thank you.
Hello, Councilmember Houston. So in our recent meeting, we established the fact that with the ribbon cutting ceremony, we have a planning process. And so obviously your office will be involved in that process, and we intend to have weekly meetings. And these weekly meetings will involve obviously you, members of EONI, SPRAC, also the foundation, and obviously city staff members. And so we encourage you to come to those meetings, those weekly meetings, and provide whomever you see fit that needs to be a part of those meetings. We encourage that. So, you know, I'll have communication with you and with your office, also Madeline. So that's all.
Excellent. And so I guess my question at this time to the staff, can you briefly walk us through the importance of, I guess, passing this item in this moment? And then I did hear the staff say that they look forward to ongoing engagement with the District 7 office, but just wanted to get a clear understanding of the item we have before us today.
Yes, absolutely, through the chair. As we mentioned, this is one of a host of projects through the Better Neighborhood, Same Neighbors project. And that project serves several specific neighborhoods in Deep East, so Sobrani Park, Brookfield Village, Stonehurst, Elmhurst. And the community engagement process that went into establishing the Better Neighborhood, Same Neighbors plan that was led by the East Oakland Neighborhoods Initiative, sort of a coalition that was made up of multiple nonprofits and community leaders, identified this park and several other sites as neighborhood priorities. But where we are now, we received the $28.2 million grant from the state in 2020, appropriated it and began work. And the grant initially, it was a shorter grant. We're on the 3rd or so extension at this point, and establishment of the stewardship plan is one of the deliverables of the grant. So the license agreement is sort of the innovative mechanism that through the state's support, the city, our real estate division, our Parks and Rec, Youth Development Department, and our community partners have come up with as a way of establishing that kind of shared model of leadership. But again, we're kind of up against the grant deadlines. Our implementation is supposed to end at this point, our implementation is supposed to end at the end of April. That doesn't mean that the stewardship would end, but it does mean that we should have the agreement for OPRF and SPRAC and EONI to launch into the stewardship activities at that point. And we do, as Quincy and Mandolin, I think, mentioned, we do have a number of safeguards built into the license agreement. So it's a 2-year agreement with 5 one-year extensions and annual, at minimum, checkpoints, partnering with, or, having ongoing communication with our Economic and Workforce Development Department around the workforce training, partnering with OPRYD around, programming, partnering with OPW around maintenance. So we're building in a lot of checks and balances.
Excellent.
And, yeah.
Thank you so much. So I guess from what I'm hearing, given the current deadline, I think I heard there was a deadline of end of April, in order to get this agreement rolling, especially given that the project, I think the report said that the dollars were funded in 2019 and then the allocation in 2020. So it's actually taken us some time to even just get to this point. And so I guess, through to Councilmember Houston, kind of based on what was articulated, would you be comfortable with this body kind of moving this item? I believe it's going to go to the special council meeting, which is after our recess. And so that then in the meantime, you can connect with staff to get more of an understanding. And then if at that council meeting you still have concerns, then we can address it as a body. But I would like this body to move the item forward so that then we can ensure that we are on track to meet that end of April deadline.
When is the groundbreaking? Because I heard it was put off till like June,
Yeah.
We're looking now at probably July.
July. So I'm gonna say this, none of these organizations reached out to me on that, and I'm not gonna go into any of you guys' districts and tell you what to do. None of those organizations reached out to me about this because this is a complicated location.
Yeah. Which I
Complicated. When I say complicated, you got 3 different worlds you got to deal with over there.
Yep.
So I'm just saying it's a complicated situation, and everybody has to be embraced on that. Everybody. So I'm saying no because they didn't reach out to me. I never heard from nobody. 3 organizations. I've been in office for 13 months. I mean, I know I was there at the groundbreak. I mean, when they opened it up and did the groundbreaking, nobody reached out to my office.
And so, thank you, Councilmember Houston. So to the city staff, how can we ensure that Councilmember Houston's office is engaged with all of the groups? I know you mentioned a weekly meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, I'll personally follow up with Councilmember Houston's office and ensure that there's going to be consistent communication so that we, can move this forward.
Excellent. And then so that communication would be prior to our upcoming, I think that, what's the date? April 14th is our next council meeting. And so in between that time, if we just go ahead and move the item, and in the event that you haven't received the proper updates that you're interested in, then as a body, we could then just not move forward with the item. Does that sound reasonable? And then also want to open it up to my colleagues for any questions as well.
I want to hear what my colleagues have to say about my district.
Okay, Councilmember Fife.
I resonate with that sentiment, Councilmember Houston. I have some very sensitive areas in my district as well, and I have to say, one of the shootings that happened in downtown Oakland, where 7 individuals were shot and 2 lost their lives, when we, as a body, set aside $1 million to deal with entertainment zones, I think should have been used to secure safety in the uptown, downtown area before adding additional services or programs. And so I am definitely resonating with your position on what the sensitivity needs are for your personal district, because you know what's happening on the ground. I'm also concerned about potentially losing time with a program that has been in progress. And I will say, my first 2 years in office, it was very rare that staff reached out to me about what was going on in my district. And it's been 6 years, and now my relationship with Parks and Rec is amazing. And Quincy, you've been great, so I appreciate you over-communicate, and I love it. And I want Councilmember Houston to have that opportunity as well. I've worked with Eoni when I was a director in East Oakland. I do know that they do good work, but I do think there needs to be a special, I'm not sure what happened with Ledette or what happened in terms of communication there, but he does need to be brought into this conversation as someone who's on the ground and actually was a part of closing down the park, what you said, 23 years ago? 23 years ago. Yeah, it's tense in some neighborhoods. And so because we are going to get blamed for anything that goes wrong, and we have to deal with the repercussions of what happens, I would like to see that occur.
Councilmember Unger.
I'll defer to Councilmember Houston and his district, but I don't want to lose this money. Is there any way we could do a couple of weeks worth of engagement and bring it back on the 14th? I mean, I don't know what the risks are of losing this money, but I do want to make sure that Councilmember Houston's involved in the process.
Yeah, and it's my understanding when I read through the report, is it $400,000 that is being allocated?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So that therefore that's why we have the deadline as well.
Through the chair, you saying $400,000 be lost if we don't move this today? That's what you said?
Well, not today specifically. I think I heard.
When
I think
will
I
it be
heard,
lost?
End of our deadline is end of April. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. And the fact that this is an ordinance and therefore requires 2 readings gives us a little bit more time to do extensive coordination.
Councilmember Unger.
Can we do that then? Could we bring it back on the 14th so that Councilmember Houston has a chance to consult with stakeholders? Does that work for you?
Through the chair, can I hear what Councilmember Janani wants to say? Has something to say too?
Councilmember Ramachandran.
I think what Councilmember Unger just proposed of hearing it at full council on the 14th, and then there is a second reading before the end of April. So that's 2 different opportunities before this body's forwarding it to the full council, but we will all still have a vote on the 14th.
Okay, I'm gonna take the lead of Councilmember Fife, Brown, Unger, and you said, I'm taking your lead, all right? Okay.
All right, and so I'll make a motion to go ahead and move this item to the special city council meeting on the 13th, 3:30, 14th at 3:30. Just need a second.
And I just want to, I'll second. I just want to make it clear that I'm not going to vote on this on the 14th until we are sure that you're satisfied.
Yep.
Good now. Councilmember Brown, Unger, Fife, and Janani, I'm good.
Excellent, thank you so much. And then we can hear from the public speakers.
Calling in the name that signed up to speak on item number 3, Mr. Derek Barnes. If you're here in chamber, you can come up to the podium, or if you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. Okay, all names have been called then. We have a motion made by Chair Brown, seconded by Councilmember Unger, to approve the recommendations of staff and to forward this item to the April 14, 2026 Special City Council agenda at 3:30 p.m. On roll, council members Fife,
Aye.
Ramachandran,
Aye.
Unger,
Aye.
and Chair Brown.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 3 passes with 4 ayes to forward this item to the April 14, 2026 Special City Council agenda at 3:30 p.m. on consent. Okay, now reading in item number 4. Adopt the following pieces of legislation. An ordinance amending the rent adjustment ordinance to A, eliminate tenant petition deadlines, B, require that an owner provide evidence of possession of a current business tax certificate, payment of or exemption from the RAP service fee, service of written notice to the rent adjustment program to affect tenants, and registration with the rent adjustment program in order to file an appeal or a response to a tenant appeal, and C, make various changes to the remedies section, including increasing the damages remedy in civil actions against residential rental property owners and making appropriate California Environmental Quality Act findings, and 2, a resolution ratifying amendments to the rent adjustment program regulations to permit any category of member of the housing, residential rent, and relocation board to serve as a board officer, and we have over 32 speakers that signed up.
Excellent, thank you so much. I believe that there's an announcement from the administration on this item.
Yes, and through the chair, we are requesting that this item be pulled at this time. We have additional information that we'd like to gather before it comes back to this council.
Okay, thank you so much. So I guess to the parliamentarian, what are our actions and next steps?
According to the council rules, the committee has to vote to table an item. The committee may take public comment first, or the committee can vote first, because this is only a special. This would be a scheduling vote, so the committee can either take public comment first and then vote to reschedule the item, or vote to reschedule the item and then take public comment later, or the committee can also just take public comment or take action on item just like any other item.
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll hear from the public speakers.
Calling the names that signed up to speak on item number 4. In no particular order, you can come up to the podium, state your name for the record, and make your comment. As standard practice, we will take in-chamber speakers first and then Zoom speakers. If you're on Zoom and hear your name, please raise your hand to be easily identified. Again, in no particular order, you can line up. Linda St. Julia, Kiran Shenoy, Stephen Eddington, James Vaughn, Stephanie Bond, Anthony Abdallah, Elizabeth Delgado, Marin, Juan Khanum, Leona, Chris Tipton, Michelle Owe, Jolene Jajru, John Williams, Petra Brady, Steve Williams, Derek Mohammed, Denard Ingram, James Bond, we have you twice, Chris Moore, Adriana Sardonas, Mark Janowitz, David Hall, Noel, Justin, Ricky, Janet Halliburton, sorry if I'm pronouncing your names wrong, Galen Yun, Kathleen Sims, Derek Barnes, and Emily Wheeler. Again, you can come up to the podium, state your name for the record, and noting that the time is for 1 minute to make your comment.
Let me properly introduce myself. I used to be Commissioner Linda St. Julian. I just left the board about 3 months ago. I was set on the board for people with disabilities and seniors, but I'm a landlord. And what I'm here for is the condition that you guys put on landlords is just ridiculous. We have tenants, problem tenants, that have problems, and you guys don't expect for us to, get rid of them and pay $11,000 for them to relocate. I've had 3 in a row, 3 people that has ruined my place. You guys say we can't get rid of them. And right now I'm going through a tenant where I'm paying $11,000, and she's a hoarder. She has really, really messed up my place. So what I'm saying is, you guys going to keep on putting these fees on us as landlords. They're not going to have a place to stay because you guys are outbidding us and making us pay all these different fees that are just ridiculous. And I'm fed up with it. So like I said, she has torn up my place. I'm going through it right now. Just paid her $11,000 to get her out, and now I have to pay $20,000 to get it back in place. This is the 3rd tenant in a...
Thank you for your comments. Your 1 minute is up.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kiran Shenoy, and I'm here on behalf of the Bridge Association of Realtors, representing more than 2,000 members working in and around Oakland, many of whom are also property managers, small housing providers, and owner-occupants. We appreciate that this item has been pulled. These amendments carry significant consequences, and taking additional time for review is the right call here. Bridge AOR was not even reached out to before this item came forward. It was in the past that former council member Cal would reach out, or Shanae Franklin Minor would reach out and ask us to weigh in before this thing even came to committee, and perhaps there's a turnover and we understand that, but hopefully that can change moving forward. We also want to raise a concern about public participation. Members repeatedly tried to register to comment by Zoom within the required 24-hour time frame and did not receive confirmation from the system. Public participation should not be further limited by these technology issues. Again, we appreciate that this item has been pulled, and we ask that any next...
Thank you for your comments. Your 1 minute is up.
Yes, Councilmember 5.
Yes, I do want to state I'm also deeply concerned about community input, and my committee for life enrichment doesn't start until 4, and since this item was pulled and we're not hearing a presentation, I respectfully request through the parliamentarian to make sure that this is legal for people to have their full 2 minutes to speak.
Yeah, at the onset of the meeting, I stated that it would only be 1 minute for the public comment. Thank you.
the speaking time has to be consistent for all the items.
Excellent. And so at this time, we're still moving forward with 1 minute. And if there's any, and I welcome any of the public speakers to engage with any of the council offices on this item, city staff, as we continue per the administration to work on this item. So at this time, it is 1 minute. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Edrington. Did you know that 90% of the landlords in New York City are corporate landlords? Don't take my word for it. Google it. New York Times, Wall Street Journal. When you pass crazy rules, the little guys leave, the mom and pop, and the corporate people take over because they can take on the risk. Don't do that in Oakland. It's best to have a small mom and pop be your landlord. They're the best landlords. Secondly, this ordinance does an interesting thing. The city created a legal scheme, that's what they call it, with the rent board. What this proposes to do is to bypass the rent board and go straight to court. You're creating lots of lawsuits. It's fine if you want to help your friend's lawyer make their BMW payment, buy a bigger house, but you're creating more litigation here. And this is wrong. The city council should really think long and hard before they implement this, because it just allows a bypass of the rent board altogether. Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Denard Ingram. I am a commissioner on the rent board, authorized by the board to present these items, these recommendations to the committee. I first want to highlight that these recommendations are not staff recommendations. These are recommendations that come from the board, so I would raise the question on whether or not the administration can pull these items. As I understand the rules, the item has been scheduled and belonged to this committee. So it is up to this committee, as I understand it, on whether or not to pull this item. Secondly, if there are questions about outreach, concerns about the recommendations, both myself and Steph are here prepared to present on these items so that both the tenants and the property owners who are here with questions can get those answers publicly here today. Do not pull this item, because this item has been in the works, many of these recommendations, for years. Thank you.
Denard's a lot taller than me. Hi, my name is Emily. I'm a volunteer with Oakland Tenants Union. I'm here representing our members who are generally at work and not able to be here today. We're an all-volunteer organization with no paid staff, but we have been aware of this legislation for months, if not years, due to the fantastic work of the rent board and RAP staff, who went above and beyond their due diligence in reaching out to all stakeholders and gathering feedback. I see many landlords here today opposing this item, and I'm sure they're all really great landlords who would never break the law and never harm their tenants, and that is why this ordinance would not affect them at all. There's a lot of misinformation appearing to go around today about this ordinance. It has nothing to do with evictions or relocation payments. It does not raise any fees on any landlords. In fact, all it does is provide a slightly larger window of opportunity for tenants to protest an illegal rent increase. Let me highlight that, an illegal rent increase. This rent increase would be illegal already, and right now the law would allow it to essentially become legal if a tenant didn't know their rights and file in time. These are incredibly small changes that only impact landlords who are breaking the law and do not do anything.
Thank you for your comments. Your 1 minute is up.
Thank you.
You can go ahead and begin. The timer will show up.
Sure thing. I'm also a volunteer for the Oakland Tenants Union. I want to second what my...
Please state your name for the record, too.
Leona Malika. I want to second what our friend Emily just had to say. And also I want to add that, like, from the perspective of just law generally, what the current regime allows is... the current regime about filing about illegal rent increases allows is just totally abnormal. If someone's picking your pocket for 6 months and then you say, hey, not illegal, you can't do that, because they can't say, oh, well, I've been doing it for 6 months, so what's your problem? So just as a matter of like consistency with laws generally, we oppose this. It's totally unreasonable imposition on tenants, and as stated, it doesn't affect anyone except landlords illegally increasing their rent. So, again, I want to second everything Emily had to say. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm John Williams, and currently, I think you need to make some more policies that are equitable for landlords, mom and pop folks, because this particular, another policy that weighs on small folks like myself, putting us out of business. No one treats mom and pops like we're a business. You know, I currently have a rental increase that's been on hold on appeal with the rent board for a year and a half for the very first rental increase in 15 years with my tenant. I'm still in litigation for 3.5 years of back rent with my tenant, and they continue to appeal them and prolong it. It's exhausting my funds and putting me out of business. Yeah, so no more policies that are laying heavy on small landlords. Make the tenants more accountable, or make policies where the rent board is more respectable and also accountable to their own policies. Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Chris Tipton. I'm speaking on behalf of the East Bay Rental Housing Association, representing housing providers across Oakland and the broader East Bay. First, I just want to acknowledge the position you're in. I do understand you're being asked to make decisions on a very complex housing issue, and we understand and we respect that responsibility. I appreciate that this item has been pulled. That said, the proposed amendments are not small and insignificant. And they raise fundamental concerns. These policy changes are being considered without clear or comprehensive data to support these changes, that they are necessary, or that they will produce the intended outcomes. Policy should be grounded in more than just anecdotal experiences. Allow the process to be informed by data. Allow time and engagement with stakeholders. Hear from court judges who are actively trying to divert rental cases away from courts and encouraging resolutions rather than encouraging more litigation. Eventually, this is actually happen. Evaluate what's actually happening before.
Thank you for your comments. Your 1 minute is up.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Jolene Drew. I'm with Housing Provider Resource Center. I am a housing provider specialist. I also work with EPRA, East Bay Rental Housing Association, as a member support specialist, growth and engagement. Through Alameda County Resource Center, we work directly with small housing providers, many of them who are first-time or accidental providers receiving a property through probate, who are trying to comply with Oakland's complex and evolving regulations. What we're seeing on the ground is not resistance to law, it is confusion, intimidation, and procedural errors, processes that they don't understand that they're being forced to move through without the proper support. When there is no limit to how far back a claim can go or penalties can escalate, even for small unintentional mistakes, many small property owners feel like they are one error away from a situation that becomes financially overwhelming, as they've spoke to here. More importantly, this kind of framework increases the likelihood that issues escalate straight into litigation. At the Alameda County Housing Provider Resource Centers, that is what we're there for, to provide support through. Thank you.
My name is Adriana Cardenas. I'm a small housing provider. I'm requesting that you retain the existing provisions for renters who never receive RAP notices. That protection is already in the ordinance, and it works. Eliminate an open-ended window combined with treble damages. This creates indefinite, uninsurable litigation exposure for small owners operating in good faith. Limit treble damages to willful violations for owners who knowingly violate an act with reckless disregard of the ordinance, consistent with San Francisco. Ensure there is a real rent board parity and require proof of board members' designation for proper balance and rental property expertise. Add a guardrail that the chair and vice chair may not be both drawn from the same stakeholder category. Provide a 30-day cure period before damages are enacted for properties of 4 units or less where small owners have
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Petra Brady.
I am a member of EBRA, but more than that, I am a small property owner. I own a duplex in West Oakland. I have been trying to remove squatters from my house. In April will be a full year from violations and abuses that they take advantage of, like the ones that are being proposed right now. I unequivocally object to these things that would allow renters to challenge rent increases for property owners such as myself. My case has been thrown out at least once because of these minor administrative things that the RAP board puts on property owners such as myself. And I feel that tenants having more opportunities to delay evictions or sue small-time property owners like myself is
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, my name is Ricky. This is the first time I come and speak to all your council members here. I've been a long time housing provider. I have a lot of good tenants, but some are bad ones. They try to turn the next door tenants, causing trouble. And even those tenants don't like them too, don't like that trouble tenant. We have a hard time to deal with this and with the law that you guys are created. And I don't think it's fair for the mom and pop housing provider. And as you know, the living costs are up like crazy. The garbage and water, utility, everything's up like crazy, and we can only increase by less than 1%.
Thank you for your comments.
Good afternoon. My name is Derek Muhammad. I'm a resident of West Oakland and a small mom and pop property owner. Thank you for pulling this item. I want to say that the policy-making process should always be guided by accurate data, accurate information, and it doesn't appear that that is the case here. Questions: what is the basis of this look back on rent petitions? What is the basis for the introduction of treble damages? And what is the basis of developing or creating more causes of actions? All of these things serve the purpose of creating a hostile work environment for small businesses. And they disincentivize investment and incentivize freeloading and a kind of gimmicking that allows people to play games and milk the system. And I'm opposed.
Chris Moore. Small housing providers are leaving. About 1/3 say they plan to exit within the next 2 years. Housing starts 15-year loan, and units are sitting vacant. And yet we continue to see these proposals that are driven by advocates who have never owned or managed housing. And they don't understand or have a full understanding of real-world impact of the policies adopted really over the last 6 years. Those policies have not hit everyone equally, and you can see it right here. They've disproportionately hurt undercapitalized mom and pop housing providers, many of whom are black homeowners and who relied on this income to stay in Oakland and build generational wealth. The proposal today makes that worse. No deadlines, unlimited retroactive liability, treble damages. It's not balanced. It's pushing these small owners out. So thank you for putting this aside today. Please spend time talking with owners, talk with EBRA, and make
My name is David Hall. I'm with a director of the housing team at Centro Legado de la Raza.
These policies were put together by the members, the commissioners of the rent board. They are subject matter experts. This was unanimously passed by both the landlord, tenant, and unaffiliated representatives. Now, today your landlord comments have been about these amendments are very short on specificity of what they don't like about these proposals and long on complaints about being a landlord. This has nothing to do with evictions. This affects evictions in actually zero way. There are two important things that these proposals do. The first is to give tenants more time to challenge an illegal rent increase. That's a good thing. There's no complaint about why that would be a bad thing. I'm sure all of these good landlords aren't trying to pass illegal rent increases, so they're not going to be affected by this. The second thing this does, it revolves around penalties of disobeying the ordinance. The treble damages only is in effect for willful, fraudulent, or malicious activity. Again, nothing that probably...
Thank you for your comments. Your 1 minute is up.
Good afternoon, council members. Mark Janowitz, volunteer with East Bay Community Law Center. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I just want to caution us about misinformation about what the ordinance, what the proposals do, what they don't do. These proposals are reasonable for the purpose of carrying out the intent of the ordinance to protect the renting population of the city. One of the speakers said we should hear from judges. Well, in 1989, in a case called Kelly versus Yee, judges addressed the attorney's fees provision and said the attorney's fees provision of these ordinances, similar ordinances, are vital to the enforcement of these ordinances because nobody else does it. Tenants can't bring actions, effective actions by themselves. The city doesn't represent individuals, so it's left to private attorneys to enforce the city's ordinance. And that's why the Court of Appeal said these attorney's fees provisions are vital. Now, of course, it doesn't affect anybody who's following the law. Pay your taxes. What's wrong with that? You don't want to pay your taxes? Of course, everybody has to bear their burden, except, you know.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is up.
Good morning, council members. My name is Janet Halliburton, and I stand here as a realtor and a representative of people who would like to own rental property in Oakland. Many of those people are dissuaded by the current laws. And I'm really glad to hear that the informed data and encouragement of resolutions are being looked at. And I do encourage another look at this ordinance. Also, I'd like to bring something that nobody has said yet. As I was going down BART the other day, I saw a sign that said, rental housing is a business. And then I saw at the Oakland Post where there is a new look at equity in business. And I'd just like the city council to look at the fact that it is a business and it doesn't have the same respect in the city or with the laws as any other business. I urge you to look at with that lens.
Madam Secretary, I think I've got some seated time from Steve, William, and Michelle away.
Are they both in here? Okay, thank you, Mr. Barnes. You'll have 3 minutes.
Great.
Just give me 1 moment to adjust your time.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Brown and committee members. Derek Barnes, small property owner and CEO of East Bay Rental Housing Association. As you know, the EBRA represents small owners across Oakland and Alameda County. These are working class Oaklanders, retirees, community members of color. Over 70% are small owner operators who provide the vast majority of below market rate rent, deeply affordable housing in Oakland. Oakland's Community and Economic Development Committee focuses on fostering a vibrant, equitable economy by attracting industries, supporting local businesses, and workforce pathways, particularly in underserved communities. And that is the charter of this body. That is the charter of this body. The rental housing ecosystem in Oakland moves about $2.8 billion through Oakland's economy. That's not insignificant, and it contributes to this huge share of the city's business license tax at about $125 million, in addition to property taxes. And why this matters, that the policies this committee passes needs to support our local housing providers, who are also small businesses, as the previous speaker said, provide opportunities for them to start, operate, and grow. But right now, we've created conditions that chase our local owners out of business, out of Oakland, and out of housing the most vulnerable people in our community, and that has to stop. I submitted a letter outlining my concerns and a set of recommended changes, but I want to be clear about where we stand. We are not here to oppose reasonable tenant protections or compliance. Our business is educating our members and keeping units on the market. We have been actively partnering with the city and HCD in ways to help small owners who are not EBRA members get and remain compliant. Let me say this for the record. These amendments before you should never have reached your desk without proper stakeholder discussion and input. Good policy development requires that. And thank you for taking the steps to look at this and take the ample time to work out these body of updates, because we need to minimize the disparate impacts that small businesses like ours are up against and have been reported in other functions of the city. One size does not fit all, as I said before, in housing. You all know that I'm here about solving problems, and I want to make that very clear too. Recommendations for moving forward: operationalize the practice of convening regular joint stakeholder meetings with HCD and RAP to ensure that the lived experience that everyone talks about is included in these discussions. And we have to run new policies and amendments through the Department of Race and Equity for assessment and input, because this city operates in silos, and that must change. And then seat the rent board with qualified individuals who currently run rental housing. That helps because you have the context at the...
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Barnes. Your time is up. If your name was called and you're still here in chamber and would still like to speak, please come up to the podium. Otherwise, we'll switch to Zoom users. Juan C., please unmute yourself and begin your 1-minute comment.
I'm Juan. I'm a D4 resident and member of Oakland Tenants Union. I support these incremental common sense changes. They're coming from a panel of tenants, landlords, and homeowners. I'm disappointed that you're pulling this item to appease landlords who often don't live in Oakland, such as Chris Moore, who we know lives in Piedmont, putting the interests of your donors above those of your constituents. Especially, one of the proposals I especially support is extending the time tenants have to file a complaint. It's ridiculous that if you find out you've been defrauded for too long, you just have to continue accepting the fraud. These aren't complex changes unless EBRA is full of idiots who aren't familiar with what is being proposed or the existing law. Council shouldn't pull items just because your donors refuse to read them. Also, it's ridiculous that council meetings are in the middle of the day, making it hard for people with jobs to participate and easier for people that leech off the working class of Oakland. Businesses provide services, EBRA just buy up homes and make more people homeless.
Kathleen Sims, please unmute yourself and begin your 1-minute comment.
Good afternoon.
Kathleen, I see you are logged on to 2. Please mute one or end one. There's an echo coming through.
I don't know how to mute.
One moment. Please begin your comment.
I think there's someone good afternoon.
Sorry, Kathleen. I will mute you. If you're on a phone and laptop, you might have to mute one or the other. There's an echo coming through. So I'll mute you for now, and we will come back to you.
Okay.
Noelle F., please unmute yourself and begin your comment.
Hi, my name is Noelle. I'm a tenant of color in Oakland. I'm calling in the middle of my workday, trying to make time for this. I am for the proposed. I support the agenda item. For landlords, one error doesn't mean you lose your housing. Landlords come in with the same talking points for all tenant protections. We have to look at the incentives. We can't forget that the business people are referring to is mine and other tenants' literal livelihoods. This would only affect illegal rent increases and should be allowed to be addressed with more time. And yeah, regulation like this helps address the homelessness crisis, so we should take it seriously. Thank you.
Kathleen, you can unmute yourself and try again. Kathleen Sims, if you can unmute yourself. Okay, we'll go back. Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you without an echo. You can begin your comment.
Okay, my name is Kathleen Sims. I'm a small housing provider, and I work closely with many housing providers throughout the city. I'm concerned about the provision allowing tenant petitions to be filed at any time during a tenancy. Removing the current timelines may appear procedural, but in practice it requires property owners to maintain extensive documentation for the entire duration of a tenancy to defend against claims years later. In many rent adjustment hearings and appeals, tenants are represented by legal aid attorneys or advocates, while small housing providers often represent themselves due to the legal costs that frequently exceed $400 an hour. In addition, many members of the board are represented by the city attorney. As a result, housing providers find themselves in a room full of attorneys. This is not equitable or balanced. Please consider these issues. Thank you.
James Vaughn, you can unmute yourself and begin your comment.
These proposals did not come from tenant advocates. There were no proposals from the tenants themselves. These were developed by the board members in session because they're trying to carry out their duty on the aims of the rental ordinance. So they saw these loopholes and proposed as ways to fill them. We are not. We're certainly for these. These are reasonable proposals, and most jurisdictions already have these actions already proposed. So we think they should be acted on. They were sent out at least a month ago to all representatives, widely to all representatives to consider and make comments. There were no comments received at that time. So we think that everybody had a chance to see these, to react to them, and to propose alternatives. We think they make sense, they're reasonable, they are good sense proposals, and we're behind them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Chair. At this time, all names have been called. We just need a motion to withdraw, please.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. So just want to thank everyone who showed up for public comment on this item. Of course, you know, the advocates that support our tenants, as well as our, you know, smaller landlords in the city of Oakland. I guess it's my understanding from the administration that in the department that there will be more community engagement on this item, and so look forward to having it return prior to. Colleagues, any questions or comments? Councilmember Fife.
No, there's been 1 minute given to speak on these items, and I do want to get a little bit more clarity because I came here to actually hear a presentation on this item and engage in active deliberation. I need to get a better understanding of why this item was pulled and why, and what is happening next. So I'm not sure who to direct that question to, but I think it's important to state that for the record.
To the administration.
And through the chair, thank you for that question, Councilmember Fife. Staff feels that we need to provide more outreach, get more engagement to understand this issue. It's very nuanced, and the basis for pulling it was to get more information so that we can understand all the fiscal impact from the city, obviously for the landlords and the tenants, and do a deeper analysis. And so that's essentially why we're pulling the item. And we don't have a date yet, but we will get back to the group with a date once that analysis has been conducted and we've done more additional outreach.
Well, I am the queen of outreach. So I think having conversations and having a lot of conversations
order in the chamber
is helpful. Yes, stop it. And I think it's important to have those kind of conversations. I just want it to, if we're going to engage in a certain type of activity, I want that consistency. We just had an item where Councilmember Houston, as the council member of his district, was respected in a way that hasn't been done across the board. So what I'm asking for all of my colleagues and for all city staff is to, if we're going to engage in principled activity, let it be consistent, not because of who's mayor, not because of who's chair, but because we seriously want to get to an outcome that benefits all people. Because the way that I see this body move sometimes, it's inequitable, and I'm going to call it out when I see it. Just want to say that for the record.
All right. All right. So we just need a motion on the item.
I'd like to move this to the pending list.
Second.
Thank you to the maker of the motion. Is this to the pending list, no date specific?
Correct.
Thank you. That's a motion made by Councilmember Unger, seconded by Councilmember Ramachandran, to withdraw and place item number 4 on the pending list, no date specific. On roll, Councilmembers Fife?
No.
Ramachandran?
Aye.
Unger?
Aye.
And Chair Brown?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 4 passes with 3 ayes, 1 no, to place item number 4 on the Community and Economic Development pending list, no date specific. Moving on to item number 4, moving on to open forum, calling in the name that signed up to speak, David Boatwright.
How much time? Really? Good grief. David Boatwright, District 4. After such an exhaustive anti-displacement plan, now is an opportune time to report on the Housing Department's efforts to increase housing in Oakland over the last 10 years. This report should show how many housing units by single, multiple, and family of 3 or more persons have been completed per year, and the number of persons housed in each housing group per year. State the cost per unit for each of the housing groups of item 1. And final, show the different types of housing and cost per unit for the housing groups of item 1, with types defined as refurbishments and new construction, with the latter broken down by conventional ground up, modular, small houses, and others such as 3D printing, and with the average completion time start to occupancy ready for each of these types of housing. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Chair. At this time, all names have been called.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Meeting is adjourned.